In this video, I'm going to show exactly how you can build an incident reporting chatbot that uses GPT-4 vision in Voiceflow. So we're going to be able to upload images of the potential hazard. We're going to use GPT-4 vision to identify the hazard and identify a hazard control as well. We're going to be able to identify the severity of the hazard as well as the likelihood of the hazard occurring. We're also going to be able to identify the risk of the hazard as well. We're then going to query an Airtable database full of job sites, and this is going to find the right job site that the user has specified. So this is going to pull all of that data, pull that data back and understand what they're talking about. We're going to use dynamic buttons to showcase all of the potential staff members at that job site at the time. So they can select if anybody was injured, they can go ahead and select that using a multi-select tool. We're going to capture all this data and we're going to send this information and store it all in an Airtable database. I'm going to give you a quick demo now of the system. So you're going to be able to click this button and you're going to get a pop-up to select an image. This is an image of a hole, as you can see. If you go ahead and upload, it's going to start uploading. So to do this, this is using Voiceflow. This is an extension that works very well with Voiceflow. So once this goes and processes, so now this image has been processed through GPT-4 vision. It's looked at the image and given us some data back. So here it says cordon off the area to prevent anyone from accidentally falling in or stepping into the hole. So this is the control method that it's identified. It's the immediate action that it's given to the person to say, this is what you have to do right away. Right here is just a description of the potential hazard. So whether it's a tripping hazard or there is just other hazards that it's identified, it's just outlined it here. Now you don't have to have this pop up. This is just for the purpose of the demo. But what you could do is store this in the background, and what I'll show you later is storing that later in a database. So it's going to then prompt me which job site are you currently at. And so if I go ahead and just say 216 Oak Street, that's just one of the properties in the database. And so it's going to further identify the actual address that I'm talking about. It's then going to say, has anyone been injured? So if I want to say yes, someone has been injured, it's then going to give me a dynamic button. So what that means is it's looked at all the people at that job site and it's given me 3 buttons because there was 3 people there. But if there was only 2, it would have only given me 2 buttons here. So this is using Voiceflow's multi-select tool. And so I'm going to be able to go ahead and select all 3 if I want, or all 2, or just one person. So if I say everybody got injured at the job site, I can hit select. And so what this is going to do is it's going to report these 3 people as being injured, as I will show you with the Airtable. It's gone ahead and identified that the severity is moderate, the likelihood is likely, and that means that the risk has been identified as a medium risk. And so I'm going to pop up a little image on the screen now of a risk hazard matrix. And so this is what I'm going to be using to get these sets of data. And so I'm going to be using GPT-4 vision again in the back end of the system to compare the risk with that sheet. And it's going to be able to do this automatically without me needing to create any sort of specific code to get that done. So if I go ahead and say, yes, I can confirm that this is what I would report, boom, it's done. Now the hazard has been reported. So now I'm here in Airtable, and so this is where it's put all the data here. So you can see the job site's been updated. We've got the hazard description. So if someone's going to come in here and look at all the different job sites, they can see exactly what the hazard was. They're going to get a control of what should have been done immediately. And then they're going to see that the risk was moderate, it was likely, medium. And then these were all 3 staff members that were all injured in this incident. Over here is the site data. So this is the data that I used to pull all of these staff information as well as the job site. So you can see here 216 Oak Street is the one that it pulled from, and it was able to identify that these 3 were the staff members. So without further ado, I'm going to go through exactly how this was built and how you can build it yourself. And at the end of the video, you're going to get access to download this template for completely free, as well as the make.com template. So right away, we're saying, please upload an image of the potential hazard. And so that's just the first little pop-up. And we're going straight into the Voiceflow file upload. So to get access to this, you need to go to voiceflow.org. And so what you need to do is go to voiceflow.org and go to the VG template download. So voiceflow.org/extensions and just download this template. And in this template, you will see the file upload blocks like this. And so you're going to be able to copy those and take that into your project. But additionally, I'm going to have this template for download at the end of the video, and I'm going to show you how to get access to that. So you're going to be able to use this template if you want anyway. From here, once we've uploaded the file, it's going to go straight into identifying the hazard control. So that's that first little block of information, or the second block of information here, the control, where it just says what you should do immediately. And so what this is doing is it's sending a request to GPT-4 Vision. And what we've prompted it is we've given it the image, so we see last utterance. And so that's what Voiceflow is outputting the image as. It's in the last utterance variable. And so that's why we've just stored last utterance there. And so we've prompted it, the user has just taken a picture of this potential hazard. Please detail exactly how they can control the situation to mitigate danger. Please don't add anything else, only output the most significant action that needs to be made. And so that prompt is what's given us that answer. And that's what we're going to be able to use to give them that immediate information so they know exactly what they need to do at the moment. We're just going to use a very small little bit of JavaScript to get out the information that we need. So it's just saying the control is going to be equal to response.choices messages.content. So that just means when this request is made to GPT-4 Vision, we're going to get back just a sort of set of data with different names in JSON format. And this is just going to be able to take out what we need. So you're going to get access to this at the end of the video with the free template. And so you can look through this yourself. Here, we're just outputting that control there with the control variable that we just saved here, C control. So right after this, we're going to be identifying the hazard. So that big block of text back here, this is what we're going to be doing. So once again, making a request through GPT-4 Vision. Our prompt here is the user has just taken a picture of this potential hazard. Please detail what the hazard is in 2 to 3 sentences. And we've once again used the last utterance as the image. After this, we're going to be using JavaScript to identify the hazard. So that's pulling out the exact same thing. So messages.content and saving it to the hazard variable. And then we can just output that here. Like I said, you don't have to output the hazard. It's probably not necessary. You probably only need it to sort of store it later. So if you want, you can just delete this or keep it if you want. We're then going to identify the severity of the hazard. And so the way that I've done this is I've essentially prompted it with, once again, the same image, but I've gone ahead and said, please identify the severity of this hazard. You must either output negligible, minor, moderate, significantly, or severe. And so these are the values that I've pulled from that matrix that I showed on screen. And so it's just going to say, please only output one of these words, nothing else. And so we're going to be able to use it, GPT-4 Vision, to actually identify what it believes compares to that. But they're going to pull that once again with the exact same bit of JavaScript, saving it to the severity variable. We're then going to be identifying the likelihood of the hazard. So it's essentially just the same, just a slightly different prompt that goes ahead and says, please identify the likelihood of this risk. Please output either very likely, likely, possible, unlikely, or very unlikely. And so once again, just output one of those words, and we're going to be able to use that later. So then once again, saving that to the likelihood variable. Now we're identifying the risk of the hazard. So what I've gone ahead and done is put in the URL of the matrix that I just showed on screen. And then we're going to be giving it those two variables of the severity and likelihood. So I've gone ahead and said, if the severity of the risk was severity, that's the variable, and the likelihood of it happening was likelihood, the variable again, please output in one word, what would the risk be? And so it's able to take those two, severity and likelihood, and identify the exact risk. We're then going to be saving that to the risk variable. And now that's done. We've got those 3 bits of data that we can use to get a good understanding of how severe and likely risks are throughout the entire database. So we're then going to be finding the right job site. So what I'm doing is sending a request to Airtable that is just looking for job sites that is stored in the data here. So we're just pulling back all of this job site data here, and we're just going to be getting that data. We're going to put that into, once again, sort of the same thing, job site addresses, and we're storing that data. We're then going to be capturing the job site that they're actually looking for. So they don't have to specify this exactly. They might not know the exact address, but if they just know the street name or just the numbers, it's going to be able to pull back a result for them, so they don't have to, detail the whole address in the moment. So it's going to say find job site. So we've prompted it this big thing here. And so we're going to say, you need to identify one job site the user is looking for. So job site addresses, the variable, is the JSON list of Airtable job sites that we just pulled earlier. And so we're just going to be able to say, look for the address that they're looking for. If you're able to find it, output that. If you aren't able to find it, output redirect. And so that just means it's going to redirect to a sorry, we couldn't find the job site you were looking for. And if it finds that there were 2 addresses, because they might say Oak Street, but there's 2 Oak Streets in the database, it's going to output multi, and multi is just going to tell them that there was multiple addresses that they found. And so that's just going to make them give a more specific location answer. From here, we're essentially just going to store that data, make sure that we have stored that into the job site current variable. And then we're going to ask them if anyone's been injured. If they say no, no one's been injured, it just skips this entire process and goes straight to the severity risk confirmation. If they say someone has been injured, we're going to be going straight to Airtable once again, and we're going to be using the job site current, which is the job site that we just identified. We're going to pull that job site exact data. So it's going to be if it identified 216 Oak Street, it's going to be pulling back these 3 people into Voiceflow. And so from here, it's going to record job site staff 1, staff 2, staff 3 as variables. And this is then going to be sent into generating a carousel. And so this is a sort of section of buttons. The reason we're doing this is to get the dynamic buttons. So this is an AI prompt. So this is going to generate a JSON list. It's a little bit complicated, but this is generating a JSON list that is going to be used to showcase the amount of buttons. So you can see here I've said you need to render a maximum of 3 buttons from the following API response, create as many buttons as there are staff members. And so I've just said if there's 1 staff member, create 1 button, 3 staff members, create 3 buttons. So in Voiceflow, you're able to use this sort of JSON code here and put that into what is called a custom action. And that just means it's going to render that JSON as actual buttons. So rather than just using the static buttons and then having the variable set of those buttons and then not being able to do dynamic buttons, we're able to do this dynamically. And so this is going to enable us to have 2 buttons if there's only 2 staff members, 3 buttons if there's 3 staff members, or 1 button if there's 1 staff member. And so at the end here where it says VG multi-select max 3, the reason that this is added here and the reason I've prompted it to not change this is that this is a requirement of Voiceflow to have it working in Voiceflow. So just got to keep that here. So yeah, I do recommend at the end of the video getting access to this template, looking through it, understanding it a little bit better, and then being able to modify it to your need or just use it as is. So once again, this is one of Voiceflow's templates. So you're going to be taking this directly from that Voiceflow download, copy and pasting it into your project. And you're going to be just leaving this as is. And then all you're going to modify is this block here that goes from the multi-select formatter directly to here. Now what this is doing is it's looking at how many workers there are. So it's just making sure that there's 1, 2, or 3 workers. It's probably not necessary to have this, but if you just want to use the worker count, you can. What it's going ahead and doing is it's looking at each worker and it's checking if there is any value within that, and then it's assigning it its name. So what that just means is if you selected the first 2, it is going to assign a value to injured worker 1, injured worker 2. But if you didn't select the 3rd person as being injured, it won't put their name down as being injured. And so that's reflected as in the hazard report here, all 3 of them were saved. But if I hadn't selected the 3rd person, it would have just put 0 here. And so that's all that this code is doing. From here, this code is going directly to the risk confirmation, which is pretty simple. This is just outlining the variables that we saved earlier and just saying, can you confirm that this is correct? If they say yes, we're going to go ahead and send that data through to Make, which is then going to process that data through to Airtable. So it's a pretty simple setup for the Make. You just go put in your post address that you're going to get from your webhook. So this will be available as well for completely free. You're going to be able to create a webhook, which you're going to copy address to clipboard. Just go ahead and simply copy and paste it into the top here as a post. And then in the body, you add all of the variables that you want to send through to make.com. And so if we put in hazard, we just put the hazard variable, job site current, and you get the point. injured worker, control, severity, likelihood, and risk. So just putting all of those variables and all that data you want to store and sending it through to Make. In Make, it's pretty simple setup here as well. It's just going to process the data straight to Airtable. And you can see here, I've got all of the header names and I've just simply put in all of the data. So you do have to run it once and then that will give you all of this here because it's just got to populate that. And you just got to transfer all of the information and headings into each corresponding one and hit OK. You want to hit run at the bottom here, and now this will be set up to go ahead and process all that data so that when it goes ahead and runs this, it will send it and upload it directly into your job site database. If you want a custom system like this for your business, you can book a call through my calendar link in the description. We can discuss your project and we can work on building out that for you, whether it's something similar to this or something more advanced. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well because I'm going to be releasing a lot more free content as well. So make sure you don't miss out on that.